being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Well, good morning and a Wednesday morning. It's 8:32 here on the east coast of southern Florida. We're not sure where you guys are. If you're in the west coast, it's probably 5:30. It's an early morning start, but still not early enough. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, had a pre-press conference before the scheduled 9 o'clock press conference, which I'm going to show you in its entirety in a second. It runs about 19 minutes or so, so it's going to segue nicely into the full press conference. So, just to let you know, pretty much, you think he's going at this press conference, he's going to come out swinging. I mean, he's just going to bring it to these idiots in the press. He's going to, you know it's going to happen. He's going to talk about the New York Times. He's going to talk about CNN. This morning, early, I think it was this morning, maybe 4 or 5 hours ago, he's already, or was this last night? Let me just make sure. This was posted last night at 9:46 p.m., and it should be a good precursor to what we're going to see this morning. Fake news CNN, together with the failing New York Times, have teamed up in an attempt to demean one of the most successful military strikes in history. The nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. Both the Times and CNN are getting slammed by the public. And that's you and me. We both need to be slamming these people. Number one, first and foremost, for whoever decided they were going to, the inside sources that decided they were going to leak something. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Let me bring up something I haven't heard anybody say. If the bombs were ineffective, and I want you to ask this question to yourself, and then you can begin asking others out there. If the bombs were ineffective, and if the bombs didn't destroy anything, and that everything else was going to be intact, and then, a month or so later, they were going to be able to resume. If that's true, if what the CNN and New York Times and everyone in the media is saying, if that's true, why did Iran agree to go to a ceasefire and negotiate peace? You see, if my stuff didn't get blowed up, if it didn't get obliterated, why would I cease fire? You didn't do anything to me. That didn't work. I'm still going to keep bombing Iran. Bombing Israel. So you have to ask yourself that one very simple question. Forget all the hype and everything. It's like, well, if it didn't get damaged, why did they quit? And when you sit back and use common sense, a lot of the stuff that you see in the media gets exposed because they feed on the hype and everything else, and they don't expect you to think for yourself. You guys been in fights. You guys have done, probably battle with people. And if you're getting in a fight with somebody, if they think they can beat you, they don't quit. They don't submit. You watch MMA and you see the holds and everything, and they're like tapping out. Why are you tapping out if you think you can win? If you think you're in a position to actually win something, this fight, this battle, why do you tap out? Nobody in the media thought to even ask that one simple question. Hey, well, if everything got obliterated, why did they quit? And then if you sit back and just digest that, you realize there's something really squirrely about this. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's because I've grappled. Maybe because I've been in fights. Maybe, I've had to subdue people and take them down. I know what it takes to restrain somebody when they don't want to be restrained. And so when you see all that, just like, well, they still had fight in them? It didn't really do much? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. All right, so we're going to be going to that in about, I think they're going to come out. Well, actually, I got to do the pre-show for you, so I got to run that real quick. Before I do that, let me talk to you about the Trump sneakers. Sometimes you see something and think, okay, I need those in my life. Like yesterday, these beautiful gold sneakers right here. That was me when I first came across the Trump Never Surrender gold sneakers. They aren't just shoes. They are a full-on statement, bold, fearless, and unapologetically patriotic. Just look at them. The gold finish, the red, white, and blue accents. It's like wearing a piece of American pride right on your feet. And even if you don't wear them, as you've seen, they look good on a shelf. And let me tell you, they don't just look good, they feel good. The quality is legit. They smell good. They're comfortable, they're durable, and surprisingly lightweight. These kicks aren't sitting in the back of your closet gathering dust. You'll actually want to wear them. Show them off and maybe even start a few conversations. What I love most is the message they send. Never surrender. It's not just a slogan, it is a mindset. Whether you're out making moves or just walking into the weekend, heading to the club, going out to dinner. Yes, down here at dinner, even in the finest restaurants, people wear sneakers. These sneakers are a reminder to stand strong and never back down. They've also become a favorite gift. Even if you don't want them, somebody you know may say, hey man, these are some serious kicks. Maybe they'll even be collectors. Who knows? Obviously, big Trump supporter or collector or anyone who rocks bold style would like these. And here's the best part. Each pair is a part of a limited run, so you're not getting some mass-produced junk. They are numbered, exclusive, and designed to make a statement. How cool is that? If this sounds like your vibe or someone you know would be interested in it, you never know. Check it out. Just for the fanfare family here, you can go to themagaoffers.com/Barry. That's themagaoffers.com/Barry. THEMAGA, magaoffers.com/Barry. Use that link to grab your pair now and take up to 15% off your order. Don't wait too long. These are going fast. Own a piece of the movement and step into something legendary. That being said, let's jump right into what I'm calling and what I've designated the pre-press conference. This was Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, and the Nato general all sitting down before this morning's press conference. He's been at it early. Take a listen.
There will be shoulder planes. They travel with them. They have better seats than I do.
Mr. President, what are you telling your Prime Minister about your goals for NATO and Article 5 today?
We're with them all the way. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers, we're with them, and they have very big things to announce today. I don't know if you've taken the vote or you're going to take the vote, but I've been asking them to go up to 5% for a number of years, and they're going up to 5%, and that's a big, from 2%. And a lot of people didn't even pay the 2%. So I think that's going to be very big news. NATO is going to become very strong with us, and I appreciate doing it. And perhaps you want to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me first, before I go to the spending, I just want to recognize your decisive action on Iran.
Thank you.
You are a man of strength, but you're also a man of peace. And the fact that you are now also successful in getting this ceasefire done between Israel and Iran, I really want to commend you for that.
Thank you very much.
And I think this is important for the whole world. Then on spending, it's absolutely true. I want to state here, without President Trump, this would not have happened. In 3 stages. When you became president in 2016, 2017, you forced Europeans and Canadians to pay more. At this moment, the result of that phase is 1 trillion extra aggregate defense spending by the Canadians and the Europeans. Then came phase 2, when you became president in January last year. Phase 2 is that all the countries not yet on 2% have now committed to the 2%. This is the old goal from Wales in 2014. 7 were not on 2%, some were saying somewhere in the 2030s. Now this year, all of them, including Canada, including Italy, including Belgium, they have all now committed to the 2%. And now comes the big splash. Today, we will decide to go to 5%. We have to keep ourselves safe from our adversaries, but also because it is fair to equalize with the United States. With this 5%, the Europeans and the Canadians will equalize their defense spending with the United States. So this is not about American taxpayers paying more. This is about Europeans, Canadians paying more. And again, this would not have happened. I'm really saying this here, and some people might criticize me, but then when I speak with them, they all say, yes, you're right. This would not have happened if you would not have been elected in 2016 and re-elected last year and back into office in January. So I want to thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great victory for everybody, I think. And we will be equalized very shortly, and that's the way it has to be. It's going to be a lot of money, too, a lot of defense.
It's trillions extra.
Yeah, and we have a great relationship, and we've had a great relationship from the beginning. Highly respected man, and yeah, we appreciate you being here, too, everybody. We really do. We have a tremendous group of people on my left and a tremendous group of people on my right. They might be even better than my people. I know. Let's have a fight. Let's figure it out. Anyway, but we appreciate it, and we've had a tremendous relationship, Mark and I, and we've really worked on this subject for a long time. And when Biden was here, it just died like everything else died. And now it's you're going to take, I guess, a vote today, right?
Absolutely. Today we will decide unanimously to do this. That's my absolute conviction.
So we can't talk about it until the vote's taken, because sometimes strange things happen with those. But I think you're going to.
I'm not too worried.
I think you're going to do very well. Everyone's very happy about it. Go ahead. Yes,
Mr. President. How is the Iran-Israel ceasefire going, in your opinion?
I think very good. Israel came back yesterday. I was so proud of them. Because they came back, they went out because they felt there was a violation, and technically they were right, but it just wouldn't have worked out very well. And they brought the planes back. They had gone on to another journey because there was a little bit of a violation, and I said, you got to get them back. And they came back, and it was a great thing, and it's going very well.
Mr. President, what is your response to the foreign minister saying he still wants to enrich nuclear?
Hello, Katie. She's so great, this one. Any question she asks, I'll answer. Well, maybe I better not say that. What was your question?
What is your response to the Iranian foreign minister continuing to say Iran will enrich uranium and pursue nuclear weapons?
Well, I don't know if they've said that, but I'll tell you, the last thing they want to do is enrich anything right now. They want to recover. And we won't let that happen. Number one, militarily we won't. I think we'll end up having somewhat of a relationship with Iran. I see it. Look, I've had a relationship over the last 4 days. They agreed to the ceasefire. And it was a very equal agreement. They both said, that's enough. They both said it. But no, they won't do that. The last thing they want to do, Katie, is enrich. They're not looking to... They're not... Can you imagine after all of that, they're going to say, oh, let's go and do a bomb. There could be a day in the future, and then somebody else taking our place will be saying, don't do it. And maybe they won't do it as well, I don't know. But they're not going to have a bomb, and they're not going to enrich. And we believe all of the stuff is down there. We don't think they had nearly the time, because to get that out is a very difficult thing. It's not like moving a package or taking this carpet up and moving it. It's very difficult. It's very dangerous to do. We believe it's all down there. We had a tremendous victory, a tremendous hit, and because of that, I don't think they would have been down there, because they knew we were coming. When they know we're coming, they're not going to be down in that 30 stories underground. So no, I think it was just a tremendous victory for everybody, including Iran. Look, they've got a country, and they've got oil, and they're very smart people, and they can come back. Israel got hit very hard, especially the last couple of days. Israel was hit really hard. Those ballistic missiles, boy, they took out a lot of buildings. And they've been great. Bibi Netanyahu should be very proud of himself. And they've really been great. But they're not going to be building bombs for a long time.
Mr. President, what's your reaction to the intelligence reports saying that the Iranian nuclear sites were only partially devastated, not entirely?
Yeah, well, they said it was actually, the report said it could have been they don't know. I mean, they did a report. I could have Pete talk to it because his department did the report. They really don't know. I think Israel's going to be telling us very soon, because Bibi is going to have people involved in that whole situation. We hear it was obliteration. It was a virtual obliteration. When you take a look at the ground above, don't forget, the flame is all underground. But everything above, if you look at the before and the after picture, everything above is burned black. The trees, everything. There's one building, but that's a building that sunk substantially into the granite, so that, the fire goes right over it. I believe it was total obliteration. I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast. If it would have taken 2 weeks maybe, but it's very hard to remove that kind of material. Very hard and very dangerous for them to remove it. Plus, they knew we were coming, and if they know we're coming, they're not going to be down there. There aren't too many people that are going to be down there. Pete, do you have something to say about that?
Well, Mr. President, when you talk to the people who built the bombs, understand what those bombs can do, and deliver those bombs, they landed precisely where they were supposed to, so it was a flawless mission.
Flawless.
Right down where we knew they needed to enter, and given the 30,000 pounds of explosives and capability of those munitions, it was devastation underneath Fordo. And the amount of munitions, 6 per location, any assessment that tells you it was something otherwise is speculating with other motives. And we know that because when you actually look at the report, by the way, it was a top secret report, it was preliminary, it was low confidence. All right, so this isn't, you make assessments based on what you know. They don't.
They said it could be very devastating, very serious.
Moderate to severe, and we believe far more likely severe and obliterated. So this is a political motive here.
Is there a leak investigation?
Of course, we're doing a leak investigation with the FBI right now because this information is for internal purposes, battle damage assessments, and CNN and others are trying to spin it to make the president look bad when this was an overwhelming success.
We had a tremendous success, and this is the New York Times. I call it the failing New York Times. It's going to hell. And CNN, which, as you know, very few people are watching. And you would think they'd do the opposite. You would think they'd want to say, this was an unbelievable success. And the thing that hurts me is it's really demeaning to the pilots and the people that put that whole thing together, the generals. That was a perfect operation. And when you look at the holes, and this was done from 52,000 feet, there was no moon, there was no light, and those 3 holes are right together. And also, and nobody talks about this, we shot 30 Tomahawks from submarines, in particular one submarine, but that was 400 miles away. Mm-hmm. And every one of those Tomahawks hit within a foot of where they were supposed to hit, took out a lot of buildings that Israel wasn't able to get. We took them out with Tomahawks. We don't even talk about that. This was a devastating attack, and it knocked them for a loop. And, if it didn't, they wouldn't have settled. If they had won, if we didn't take it out, they wouldn't have settled. Somebody mentioned that to me last night. If that thing wasn't devastated, they would have never settled. Marco, do you have something to say?
No, first of all, on the stuff about the intelligence, This is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says. That's the game these people play. They read it, and then they go out and characterize it the way they want it characterized, and they're leakers. This is the game they play. So that's number one. Number two, here's a fact. The conversion facility, which you can't do a nuclear weapon without a conversion facility. We can't even find where it is, where it used to be on the map. You can't even find where it used to be because the whole thing is just blackened out. It's
Right.
gone.
It's wiped out.
It's wiped out. Then we dropped 12 of the strongest bombs on the planet right down the hole in 2 places. Everything underneath that mountain is in bad shape. And I refer you to the statement of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi. You know what he said? He said there was Iran, the way it looked the day before the attack, and what their nuclear program looks like now. 2 very different things. They are way behind where they were just 7 days ago. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt, but now we know where it is. And if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers. That's what they are. They go out and they read this stuff, and then they tell you what it says against the law, but they characterize it for you in a way that's absolutely false. There's no way Iran comes to the table if somehow nothing had happened. This was complete and total obliteration. They're in bad shape. They are way behind today compared to where they were just 7 days ago because of what the president did.
Marco, can I just alert you to one other aspect? So the great thing is you took out the nuclear capability of Iran. This was crucial. You did it in a way which is extremely impressive. But the signal sends to the rest of the world that this president, when it comes to it, yes, he is a man of peace, but if necessary, he is willing to use strength, the enormous strength of the American military. So I think that signal to the rest of the world, this is far beyond Iran, is extremely important. So let me also point us to that aspect of what happened.
They went down, Iran went down to the site afterwards. They said it's so devastated, and they settled when they saw what we did to it. And frankly, if we didn't do that, they would have had a lot of ammunition to keep going. They wouldn't have settled. Somebody brought that up, and 2 Iranians went down to see it, and they called back, and they said, this place is gone. So it's just fake news by CNN, which has got no ratings. It's a failed network. Anybody here from CNN, by the way? Because you're a really disgraceful network. MSNBC, I think, is actually worse. But they're all pretty bad. But yours is good, Katie, I'll tell you.
Mr. President,
You know what Marco reminded me? He did such a nice job there. It was 9 years ago I had to debate this guy. It was not easy. I think he even got better. But when you were into your little thing, I said, this is when I had to debate this guy. You think it's easy to debate him? It's not easy.
How long do you think that the Iranian nuclear program has been put back by these strikes? Years or totally obliterated?
I think basically decades, because I don't think they'll ever do it again. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to take their oil, they're going to have some missiles, and they'll have some defense. I think they've had it. I mean, they just went through hell. I think they've had it. The last thing they want to do is enrich. They've been trying to do it. By the way, it's hard to enrich. And, you know, when you look at a site like that, very, very hard to build. Very, very hard, very expensive. They spent trillions of dollars trying to do this thing, and they didn't come up with it. And we're actually getting along with them very well right now. But had we not succeeded with that hit ended the war. That hit ended the war. I don't want to use an example of Hiroshima. I don't want to use an example of Nagasaki. But that was essentially the same thing. That ended that war. This ended that with the war. If we didn't take that out, they'd be fighting right now.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
If the Iranians do rebuild, would the United States...
If they rebuild?
Would the United States strike again? And I have also a question about Russia.
But I'm not going to have to worry about that. It's gone for years. It's very tough to rebuild because the whole thing has collapsed. In other words, inside, it's all collapsed. Nobody can get in to see it because it's collapsed. You can't go in to see a room that has, 10 million tons of rock in it. And the tunnels are totally collapsed.
But if they rebuild?
Well, they've already looked at the tunnels. This was an unbelievable hit by genius pilots and genius people in the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You had some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally, and it knocked it out. the original word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong word. It was obliteration. And you'll see that. And it's going to come out. Israel is doing a report on it now, I understand. And I was told that they said it was total obliteration. You know, they have guys that go in there after the hit, and they say it was total obliteration. And, you know, I don't want it for me. I want it for the pilots. I want it for the military. They did such a good job. If you were in the Situation Room with me, with the generals and all of the people that did such a good job, and then they get demeaned by these idiots at CNN who can't get ratings, the place is dying, nobody wants to even waste their time going on their shows. So they form with the New York Times, who's dying also. Without Trump, you wouldn't have a New York Times.
And then just changing gears to your meeting with Zelensky later today, can you give us any preview of what the two of you might be discussing?
No, well, we'll discuss the obvious. We'll discuss his difficulty. He's got a little difficulty. Zelensky, he's a nice guy. I mean, I'm going to meet him today. I don't know. I assume we're going to be discussing Ukraine.
Yes.
I mean, it seems like the most
Is there
likely subject.
any restart talks there or anything that you might do?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, I've spoken to Putin a lot, and he actually was very nice. He volunteered help on, as you know, on Iran. I said, no, I don't need help on Iran. I need help on Russia. Okay? I said, do me a favor. Help us on Russia, not on Iran. But he was very nice. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk. I think progress is being made. I think great progress is being made on Gaza. I think because of this attack that we made, I think we're going to have some very good news. I was talking to Steve Witkoff, who, by the way, is terrific, and who knows more about this subject than anybody, the subject of what we were just talking about. He was on last night with Jesse and with Laura and with Sean. And boy, he has Susie. He has a great take on it. He just explains it so easily. He's really very knowledgeable. But he did tell me that Gaza is very close.
One follow-up on Iran. Both you and Secretary Rubio and Hegseth mentioned the Lear. But can you clarify, is the intelligence correct or is the intelligence wrong?
Well, the intelligence was very inconclusive. Okay. The intelligence says we don't know. It could have been very severe. That's what the intelligence says. So I guess that's correct. But I think we can take that we don't know. It was very severe. It was obliteration. And you'd think that a media outlet would say, isn't that a great thing? I mean, more importantly for the pilots, for the military, you take their guts out. You take their absolute guts out. They had a tremendous attack. It was a complete obliteration. The other team, the other group, Iran, said, let's stop this. And you know what? Israel said it too. Very smart. They fought like hell, and then they said, let's stop. And they're going to build themselves. And I really see it as sticking. I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easy to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the others.
Yes, we're going to join some other group. Yes, thank you. Katie, one
last question. Do you believe
she's so good.
Thank you, Mr. President.
She used to be very difficult. Go ahead.
Do you believe that this strike on the Iranian nuclear program will lead to the release of the hostages in Gaza?
I think that it helped a little bit. It showed a lot of power. Yeah, I think it helped. But we're going to get separately, even before this, we were very close to making a deal on Gaza. I think this helped, yes. Okay? Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right, so as you saw on the crawl that I had across the screen, that was a pre-press conference. It was just something where they just walked into a room. And it's funny because when I got the feed, it was a really small room where just a few people were in there. So it wasn't a full press conference, but they just took some questions from the press. And President Trump and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth sat there and spoke, as well as the NATO general. So that was like a precursor to what's getting ready to happen. So we're waiting for the 9 o'clock presser. It's 9 o'clock right now. And I'm waiting to make sure that everything is ready. And it looks like everything is. 1 second here. Okay. All right, so we're ready. I've got like 3 feeds running, and whichever one comes up first, I'll put that on, and then I'll move around according to which feed we see goes live. So, in any event, we are ready, waiting for them to walk out. Let's take a few comments. Who is the Katie in the press pool that the president refers to? That would be Katie Pavlich of Fox. Katie Pavlich. Let's see here. Hi, John Amber, MAGA FAFO. Let's see. God bless the United States. Yes, thank you very much for as well. If you watch this, you can actually tell that this was President Trump was. Oh, did I leave that up there? President Trump was ready for this. He looked calm. His delivery was very defined. He took on CNN. He made sure everybody knew that those people are scum, as he says. CNN. He's gone from fake news to just coming out straight up and saying, "Hey, they're scum." Wow. Can you imagine working for CNN? Imagine if you were standing in that audience and all these dignitaries around. And then, of course, world leaders are probably watching that. And he's pointing at CNN and going, "They're scum." And MSNBC is worse. What would that make you feel like? How would you feel that the President of the United States is telling not people in America, but telling people in the world that your organization is scum? The problem is that they have no anything of self-awareness. They don't care. They exist to trash Trump. Now, the interesting bit that I believe it was Marco Rubio said that that was news, or was it Pete Hegseth? I'm not sure which one. The FBI is involved. The FBI is involved in trying to find out and go back and trace who was the person who had access to this information, who decided to, make it his own. Notice, I haven't seen anything, maybe you've seen it, I haven't seen anything in terms of print. I haven't seen anybody on the news reach over and read some report. Everything I've seen has been from a source who relayed it. So it's probably somebody who read it or read something of it and decided, for a couple bucks, they were going to tell something to the New York Times or CNN. That person, they're going to find you. I hope you got paid well, because you're going to need a lot of money for attorney's fees. Or maybe you've got the private jet and you've already headed out to, some country with no extradition, but they're going to find you. They most assuredly are going to find this person, and I would not want to be him. Not at all. So I'm still waiting. It's 9:03. We'll take a few more comments. Yeah, somebody says they deserve the shame. Yeah. Let me go up here. Probably Adam Schiff. Somebody goes, yeah, probably Adam Schiff. I would enlist to fight against Ukraine. 80% of NATO anti-woke enemies. They talk about big balls. Our President Trump has the biggest balls of them all. Ron is like, I pity the fool. But speaking of pities, this one here, New York City is in trouble. Glad I'm not there. At today's 1 o'clock show, today, then I'm going to be talking about what happened in New York. I talked about what was going to happen last night or yesterday, which they all run together at this point. It happened. The Democrats elected the primary election for a avowed, not even hiding it, socialist commie to be the next mayor of the biggest city in the United States. New York has fallen. And it was funny because I posted something just in jest after I heard what Ron DeSantis said, the governor of Florida, when he said there's going to be a lot of people moving to Palm Beach. Well, it's not just Palm Beach, all over Florida. I've gotten texts and emails from people who are like, I'm already getting calls. And how, sometimes we say, and let me just bring this up before I say it so I have it to show you. People say, you deserve this because you didn't get out and you let this guy get voted in, right? Well, it's not over yet, but I want to show you something very, very interesting. New York is one of the biggest cities in the world, not just the country, in the world, right? So when you look at this, one of the things that jumps out at you, or should jump out at you, and it really pisses me off, and so like when you say, hey, listen, you guys deserve it, in this instance, it's 100% true. You can tell every person in New York, you deserve this. If you didn't want it, you should have went out and voted. Here's what I'm going to show you, and this is why I'm confident in saying it, and I have no problem telling somebody at this point, you screwed up. You absolutely screwed up. This is the vote tally in the primary yesterday. Hold on, let me move this over here. All right, there you can see it. Where is it? 43% of the vote is in. They just had the tally there a second ago. Where'd the tally go? But anyway, only like 400,000 people voted. 400,000 or 500,000 people voted. It had it show detailed results. Let me see if it comes in here. All right, there we go. These are the results. There are like 20 million people in New York City. Maybe 10. I don't know. There's millions of people in New York City. They didn't vote. Why didn't they go out and vote? I have no idea. There's the Upper West Side. They've got it broken down, and you can just keep looking at it over and over and over, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm getting dinged here. No, just wanted to make sure he wasn't on yet. 1 second. See if there's any comment. I always have to check and see if that's either SV or Ashley texted me. But in that regard, you have to sit back and think. The biggest city in the country, arguably, I'm not sure where LA is at this point, very close to it, but you're talking about at least 8, 9, 10 million people. And you let a socialist commie become the Democrat nominee because less than 10% of the people in New York voted Democrats. I don't know if they have closed primaries, but let's assume they have a closed primary. All the rest of you stayed home. And you woke up this morning and like, we're going to have a socialist mayor? It just got real. I hope these people woke up this morning and went, oh my God. Oh, what did we do? How did this even happen? Well, it happened because you guys didn't do what you were supposed to do. Hold on, what do I got going on here? Huh, that's here, odd. That's stunning. At least it is to me. Is that stunning to you that they allowed this to happen in their city because they had complete apathy? They are going to keep winning. If you don't take a stand and realize they're going to rip your cities apart across the country, and it only takes a small amount because the rest of everybody else staying home or they're too busy or they're watching a baseball game or watching a basketball game or whatever, and then boom, you're a socialist city. Mandani is a radical. I don't know if he's from Uganda or not. Let's see here. That's what happens when you don't go out and vote. Yeah. I live in New York. Thank God, not the city. Yeah. But it's coming. Barry, it was already fixed. It couldn't have been fixed. Here's why it couldn't have been fixed. We can talk about this more later. I don't want to, belabor the point. Is if more people would have showed up, they couldn't have fixed it. You go back and look at the numbers that are being posted, and they're telling you how many people in New York came out and voted. Do you know how many people voted for AOC? AOC is a big mouth politician out of Queens, I believe, or the Bronx, whatever. And she only got like 15 or 20,000 votes. Don't quote me on it, but it was a very small percentage of the overall population because people just didn't give a crap. And then you get what you get. I can't feel sorry if you know what's at stake and you decide to sit it out. Nah, can't do it. Anyone who claims they're a socialist is really a communist. The goal of socialism is communism. New York, take note of what's going on in London. Let's hope that people woke up this morning and went, wait a second, we can't let this happen. And we're going to have to vote in, even if we have to hold our nose and vote in Eric Adams or Curtis Sliwa, anything is going to be better than turning that city into a socialist hellhole. Don't do it. He's already said some of the things. They don't believe them when they tell you what they're going to do. I mean, you got to believe them. They don't mince words. All right, so he has not come out yet, and so I am going to take a quick 90-second break to run to the little boy's room.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Well, I made it back in time. Woo, yeah, okay, great. All right, so I don't want to belabor the point too much about New York because I'm going to talk about it. Well, I guess I can talk about it. I just don't have all the things ready for it because he was supposed to be on at 9 o'clock and it's already 9:15 and it ain't happening yet. All right, so in any event, Ashley and SV are popping stories into me so I can run with it and give you guys some information. But here's one that's pretty interesting. Very interesting. Just in, the low-income people in New York voted en masse against a guy who promised to create government-run grocery stores and freeze the rent. That should tell you everything. All right, so I showed you yesterday, excuse me, from a guy from Geiger Capital who said it was 62 to 39 people who didn't have a college education and 61 to 38 people who did have a college education. All this chart proves, and want to show you this, is right there, is that this isn't a movement of the people. This is a movement of college indoctrinated idiots. The chart tells you right there. People who don't make much money, under $50,000 in New York, which is probably close to poverty level in New York City. Mario Cuomo won by 19 points, nearly 20 points. However, the people between 50 and 100,000 and people over 100,000, Mamdani won by 13. So it's not a so-called socialist movement. It is a movement of indoctrinated morons who've gone to Harvard and Columbia and Brown and Yale, who have centralized in New York City and have become completely insane. Completely insane. Fight the power. Dude, you're making $100,000 a year. You are the power. Fight the white man power. Dude, you're white. What is wrong with these people? Eat the rich. You are the rich. Oh, it doesn't make any sense to you. It doesn't make any sense to anybody outside of New York, out of these bubbles, that they're voting for this, knowing it's going to hurt them. Benny put up an interesting post this morning. Very interesting post. 50 years ago, the leader of the Democrat Party was a decorated war hero, an anti-communist crusader, Catholic who took America to space. Today, it's a foreign-born communist, Muslim, trans activist who wants to defund the police. How did this decay happen? Easy. Very easy when you look at it. The Democrats changed their voters by importing masses from the third world and appealing to their extremist ideologies. They destroyed their legacy forever in the rabid pursuit of power. The Democrat Party is dead because the Democrats themselves killed it. I've been saying that for quite some time. It's quite evident for anyone who wants to see that this party is dead. They've had to import votes. They've had to import ideologies. Nothing positive about America. I don't understand how people watch, never mind the fact that some of us watch the news for work-related purposes or for comedy relief, but it's very hard to watch these people. And I understand sometimes when I post it, I can actually see the visceral response that many of you have, because it's 100% negative. It's always negative. None of them have anything good to say about anybody. They hate America. They hate every politician that's not trying to be miserable like them. They don't even support sports teams. They've destroyed the WNBA is a liberal hellhole. The woman had to apologize because she used the phrase. She wasn't even talking about Trump. One of the announcers said, that's what makes America great. And the other announcer got her fifis hurt. And she had to apologize for even saying that. Stop apologizing. Tell these people to go pound sand. Unbelievable. Looks like they're about to come up. I see people filing in. Let me see if my feed is up so I can go split screen on this for you so you guys can see it as well. Hold on. Let me check this real quick. Okay. All right, so my feed isn't up as of yet, so I will keep going. But they are, I have another feed up where they are walking out and beginning to take the stage. So we'll talk about New York at 1 o'clock. I'll have some video for you. One interesting thing I did see that Eric Adams was on Fox this morning. And on Fox this morning, he's like, the guy's talking a lot of crap. And the guys on Fox asked him, what do you mean? And he's like, the New York mayor does not have the power to raise taxes in the city of New York. But I understand that. But if he's the mayor, he's probably got some other people on the council and everybody else that are as bat poop crazy as he is. So who knows what's going to happen there. I feel bad for my educated New York City family and friends. I've been trying to tell them for the last few years to get out. They're going to learn the hard way. It isn't going to be easy, by the way. I'm telling you, this is probably going to get some kind of, if it goes the way I think it may go, it may get kind of crazy. Think about something. Think about this, all right? I want you to think about this. How do you think the Goombas down in Little Italy are going to take that? Let that sink in. The Little Italy's been there for quite some time. They've been doing what they've been doing, and you think they're going to let some upstart little wet behind the ear commie come in and tell them what to do? I don't think so. How about, I don't know, Chinatown? Chinatown's been doing what they do for quite some time. Hell's Kitchen. It ain't going to work. It's going to get ugly. Let them try and do some of the stuff that this guy has in mind, and people are going to fight back. People who have the capacity to fight back. I said I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of time on New York, and y'all got me going on New York City. Let's see, what do we got? Forget about it. Forget about it. You want to do what? silly kid. Get out of here. No, it ain't going to happen. It's all ideology and waving flags. Ever notice when they do all those protests and riots, you never see a riot in Little Italy? Why is that? Think to yourself. Remember Arsenio Hall? Things that make you go, why is there never any riots in Little Italy? Why are there never any riots in Chinatown? Because you get disappeared. Go ahead and protest and do your socialist crazy flag waving crap in Little Italy. I'd love to see that movie. I'd have to get, I don't like Robert De Niro, but we'd have to get somebody else in there to go ahead and direct it, because that would be a movie to watch. The socialists take on the Goombas. Goomba fellas. Do it. The socialists against, oh my God. Instead of it being like what it's going to be basically Snake Plissken, and Kurt Russell was the guy's name I was trying to remember yesterday, and Escape from New York. If you've never seen that movie, Escape from New York, you're about to see it. Either that or Warriors. Warriors, come on, play. New York City has self-destructed under Democrat politicians' lies and deceptions. It's almost as if you're going to have two New York Cities. When you think about it, the rich on Park Avenue, there's no riots on Park Avenue, are there? Nah, nope. Yeah, just stay your asses out of here. Go down Times Square, wherever you're going to do this stuff in Harlem. Do not come down here in Park Avenue. So if they have carve-outs in the city where you can and can't go to, you can't go to Little Italy, can't go to Chinatown, can't go to Hell's Kitchen, can't go to Park Avenue. You can go ahead and hear it. They are staged, choreographed protests. So what you're going to have in New York City, the self-destruction, are people who don't pay attention to the politicians anyway. New York and some of the underworld stuff of Gotham has existed for decades because those people in those certain areas don't really follow the law. They have their own law. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go there. Go there and see how nice and safe it is in some of these areas. Outside it may be seedy, but you don't have any problem in Little Italy. Been there many, 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 many times. And you can go watch the movies because it's pretty much true. They take care of their own. And so all this ideology and everything that's going on, we're going to have different carve-outs in this city where people are going to do what they want to do, and they won't be bothered. They probably ain't paying taxes anyway. No more of a blue-minded in our state in Florida. We don't need their insane rhetoric. Nope. Hey, I'm walking here. I can already hear the accent here right there. Hey, I'm walking here. Yep, New York, you have until November 5th to wise up. Exactly. Barry, see if you can't see Mike Francese, former mob boss who left the life. That would be funny. That would definitely be funny. President Trump has real estate in New York City. What's going to happen with that? I don't know. I don't know what these people are going to try to do. Letitia James, they're going to sue everybody they possibly can. They're going to try and attach property, and they'll start with somebody like Trump because they hate him. But what I think they'll do is they'll chase so many people underground where it's going to become problematic. There's so many people with, not rich, wealthy wealthy people up in New York who own property and everything else. I don't know how they would enforce some of the stuff that this socialist is going to want to do. See, these people who've got big money, and this is why I say carve out. And I can't believe I'm talking about New York right now. But he wants to have government grocery stores where the people can go in and shop at the government. Imagine shopping at the DMV. Imagine if you had to go at the DMV to do your grocery shopping, what that nightmare would be like. And the problem is you're having two different class systems. As you saw with that X post where, who voted for who, the people who voted for the crap for the poor people, they don't shop there. No. The people who need bus passes, that's who they're pushing on. And these people don't need bus passes. They're not going in the subway. They barely buy groceries. They want something to eat. They go to a restaurant. Hey, is my table available? Yeah, I'll be over there in half an hour. They're agnostic to all this. That's why they don't care. I'm like, I don't care. You ain't bothering me. Just stay away. But it's all the other people who are going to be affected. They want, obviously, and here's the caveat. They want a caste system. They want an underbelly of people who are dependent upon the government. See, there's so many people who are going to be resistant because it doesn't matter to them. They have what's called FU money. I don't care. I don't care. It gets too hot in here, get on the airplane, and I'm gone. I don't care. But it's all the people down here who didn't want socialism who are going to have it forced upon them, and it's going to be a boot on their neck just to control them. These are the people, as they always say, who's going to pick your food? Who's going to clean your house? Who's going to drive you? All those people, that's who they're going to affect. The people with money, they're not going to be affected by that. And you're thinking about taxes, that's why they're also fighting so hard for salt taxes. If they can take the local taxes out of their income taxes, then they don't care if you raise the taxes in New York because they just take it off of their federal taxes. It's all a game. It's all a big, stupid game. I can't believe I spent all this time talking about that. I wonder how many was mail-in votes. I don't know. More Trump Tower, move Trump Towers to Texas or Florida. Now, what would be interesting? What would be interesting is if they moved the stock exchange. If they said, you know what, we're going to move the stock exchange to Miami. That's my dog. All right, looks like we may be at go time. I'm seeing the podium, and I'm waiting for the first person to show up and do some introductions. But as of right now, nobody has walked out at this point. Just a bunch of people milling around. Good crowd. This is not your typical press conference in the White House, because with how they're all cramped in and there's like maybe 30 people in this cramped room. This looks like it's a good sized room. Probably, I'd say 100 plus, 120 plus people sitting here waiting to get on. So we shall see him. Right now he's almost 30 minutes late. But the room is filling up, the lights are on, and people are milling about. Yeah, I would move the stock exchange. Now, many of you don't know, after 9/11, and they realized they could never let that happen again, there is already a redundant stock exchange in Miami. It's empty. The building is empty, but everything's there. They could, in an instant, I mean, if something happened in New York today, tomorrow they could be up and running in Miami. They probably have 3 different places. Who knows where all the redundancy they may have now. So if for some reason something happened in New York City, they literally, well, it may take 2 days because you'd have to get all the people down to the offices. But there are actual offices. I've walked in these offices. Floor after floor after floor. It's empty, but if you walked in, you would it looks like you walked into a replica of the stock market. All the computers are there, the charts are running, the ticker tape thing is up there, it's all running. I'm like, wow, somebody's actually paying for this? Yeah, it could never happen again. It can never go down. And so if something were to happen, they could really flip a switch like that and be down here or wherever their alternative spots are. It's eerie. I mean, even guys like Howard Lutnick, before he started working for President Trump, with everything that happened with Cantor Fitzgerald and he lost all his employees, just imagine, it's hard for normal people to understand because you would never lose that kind of money on an ongoing basis. But if your business is moving billions of dollars daily, then it's worth paying, a couple $100,000 a month just to have some safety with redundancy in case something happens. Because you can't lose billions of dollars, or your clients can't lose billions of dollars. They have to keep moving. And it's moving cash on such a high level that most people don't think about it. So they've actually constructed replicas of Wall Street. Now, if this guy were to become mayor, and start doing some crazy stuff, let's see. Mayor Suarez here in Miami wants to move all the world currency in Silicon Valley down here. So let's bring the stock exchange to South Florida. Yep, he wants to be the head of crypto. That would be a great guy to get on the show, Mayor Suarez of here in Miami. Amazing what they've done in terms of how they've. It used to be just a gateway to South America and all that money. Now it's becoming a gateway to the world, essentially. I was there in 9/11. It was insane. The Democrat Party is the biggest. Where's that? The biggest threat to everything. I can't see where it says. Hurricanes, Barry. What's a hurricane? You know what's funny? People who get worried about hurricanes. Let me tell you something about hurricanes. Drive through South Florida and see how many buildings have been standing and how many houses have been there since 1960. And then things that have happened over the years and the building codes and everything else. Hurricane's a big blow. Once in a while we get a really bad one. But down here people are so experienced. You know what you're doing. They're not like tornadoes that destroy everything. They're hurricanes. You got plenty of advance notice. Everybody who lives here, and I do mean everybody who lives here, has a plan. You've got your water, you got your gas, you got your propane, you got your prep food. Before all the stuff happened with the jabademic, we all had that down here anyway. See, a lot of people didn't realize it was, everyone was rushing to plan for doomsday. Every single buddy lives down here. You already planned doomsday. You got plenty of ammo. You got the pew-pews. You got the food. You got the generators. So some people have generators that can run their entire houses. I don't have one of those yet, but you can actually just, boom, once there's something intermittent, you don't lose anything. Everything keeps running. Seems like the only people who really have a problem are cable companies. That stuff goes down, you're down for a while. But you'll live. Everything's fine. I lived in Northwest Florida for 13 years. Dealt with a tree once, moving back soon. Yep, sometimes trees can fly around. Why do I keep going blank? That would probably be your connection. I'm not going blank. So, like somebody says, the chat disappeared. Again, so let me just tell you, streaming is not like watching television. Streaming is its own animal. And sometimes based upon the bandwidth at your facility, wherever you're living, if you're on your phone or anything, if something gets interrupted, something could blink off. But you'll know if I go off, I freeze. But so as long as I'm not freezing, everything else is working accordingly. They're burying cables now. Yep, in our neighborhood here, which is one of the reasons, another reason why I lived here, is there's no what do you call it? No poles, nothing. everything is underground. And so, we would be one of the first people to come back up because they still flip the switch if something happens so they can replace a transformer, but it comes back much faster because it's all underground, Who needs cable companies? Get Starlink. All right, until Starlink goes with a 1 gig up and down. If you guys who do any streaming understand what I mean, 1 gig up and down. A lot of people think high-speed internet is, 50 megabytes or, no, that's not going to cut it. I got to have a gig. I have to have a gig up. See, most people only look at the front side of that. They think how much the download speed is. I am delivering, so I need upload speed. And right now, Starlink does not provide that. Let's see. That happens to me also when I have to reconnect. It's not the streaming. It's not the streaming. It only happens on your show. Well, maybe I'm special. I can't tell you. I'm just telling you everything is fine on my end. Obviously, at this point, there is probably close to 7,000 people watching right now. The only thing I could think of is I broadcast, my stream goes through Rumble. Maybe that's an issue. Can't tell you. I want a whole house generator. Probably have to stay on my want list for now. Yeah, they're expensive. They're quite expensive. Let's see. Tired of inquiries. You can have glitches in your app as well with the chats. Close it and reopen, or close and reopen. Lee Roberts, thanks, Brother Barry, for your hard work for us and explaining everything to us. Let's see here. SBS 6,200 watching as of right now. Early morning show. So we're good here. All right. So I'm checking everybody. Nobody. I knew he'd be late. I didn't know he'd be 37 minutes late. Let's check out what's going on X. Probably can find some things to talk about. Let's see here. Monica. I like this. Over the last 4 years, let me move SV's tweet because it's sitting there. Hold on. And I got to put this up so I can see if anything happens. Wait 1 minute. Okay, looking, and they're showing. All right. Over the last 4 years, we had a president who thought the word "don't" would be enough to keep our foreign adversaries at bay. President Trump made a promise of no new wars, and pressed the reset button on a generation of failed policy strategies. Remember, Biden and everybody kept saying, just don't. That was it. They thought that was going to work. Obviously, that didn't work. Let me find anything else here. This one's going to be, I'm going to show you guys this later on today. I can announce today that the U.S. Department of Education has found that the state of California, the Department of Education, and their Interscholastic Sports Federation is in violation of Title IX. If they do not comply within 10 days, we'll refer this to the DOJ. All right, so Linda McMahon, let me just give you a quick briefing on that. Linda McMahon, head of the Department of Education right now, they're about to go after California because of the I have to temper my words here again, because they're letting people play in sports they're not supposed to be playing in, if you know what I mean, and I think you do, which I am so happy President Trump and his administration are putting their foot down about that. That's absurd at this point. Let me see here. This is interesting. Iran and Israel agree. The precision strikes obliterated the Iranian regime's nuclear facilities. Iran's spokesperson says its nuclear installations badly damaged by U.S. strikes. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson says the nuclear installations badly damaged. Israel Atomic Energy Commission says U.S. strike on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure. Who are you going to believe, CNN or the actual countries? It's a damn shame what these people do and how they just try to tear apart America. That's all they try to do. In addition to this afternoon, I'm going to be talking, okay, just to let you guys also know, I've got an interview with, let's see, who's actually got me set up with today. I believe today is Scott Franklin. Let me just make sure here who is on my calendar. Yeah, Representative Scott Franklin. He'll be here during the 1 o'clock show. So there's a whole lot of other news that's happening that obviously people aren't talking about because right now President Trump's at Nato and he's going to be coming back tonight. I think he lands at the White House or gets back to the White House at about 6 o'clock. Let me check and see if the markets, what's going on with the markets. S&P rises slightly as index approaches record high. What do we got going here? Anything else? And that's because NATO has agreed to a higher 5% defense spending budget. All right, so we're still waiting, and that gives me a good time. Let me check something else for you while we're looking at that. All right, so if you're in a position and if you have the availability to do something, now might be a good time for you to do it because of all this volatility that's going on with Israel and Iran and Gaza and Russia and everybody else. Might want to look into getting some gold or some silver and then hold it, do the best you can to keep growing it. Just take this is not expensive. This right here, I think it's like $350. This is an ounce of silver. That's like 35 or 40 bucks. So anybody can do it. You just got to do it. All right, I'll be right back. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability. And that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver, not paper, not certificates, actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. But if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, looks like we're getting close. Looks like people are milling around, and at least they turned on the feed, so we obviously must be getting close, because that's why they would be doing that. All right, let's take some questions while you guys can watch this as well. We can see as soon as he comes up, you'll be able to hear it. Where do you put gold or silver? If your house gets blown away, you lose it. My friend took hers out of a bank and took it home. Maybe the second part of your question might be the more important part. Why'd she take it out of her bank? Why she didn't? Why would you remove it from, I don't know, safe deposit box? And where do you live that your house might get blown away? I would think if you're in Kansas somewhere and your house is in danger of getting blown away, that you probably have a storm cellar or something, because how else, I don't know many places where your houses get blown away. Down here, even if there's a hurricane, you're going to have 4 or 5 days notice. They just don't show up. Let's see here. Somebody said, my screen goes black and having to refresh all the time. It only happens on YouTube. It's so aggravating. So, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't run the network, not mine. So I apologize. Why do ads come on when you're live? Usually live streams don't have ads. That's too bad for them. Oh gosh. Think about what you just said. Is that here? Yeah. I'm hearing a beep. Think about what you just said. Why do ads come out on your live stream? Live streams really don't have ads. That would be a question for them, wouldn't it? Wow. Let's see. Rhonda, I've decided I will start with 1 or 2 coins. I'm going to open a safety deposit box. Good job. The bank will get blown away too. Barry, I've been having the same problem with your show going blank a lot lately. I don't know what to say. Ashley, maybe you can ask the guys at Rumble. Ashley, if you're here, ask them. Not sure why. SV, oh my gosh, SV, you've blown the cover. It's a business. It's the business we've chosen. Oh my God, that's funny. Most people don't understand technology. Yeah, I understand that. I did not expect Barry to be live at 10 a.m. Actually, we were live at 8:30 a.m. We've been waiting for the boss to come out and do his speech, which he has not arrived as of yet. So we're watching the podium that's Donald Trump will be standing at, and he was supposed to be here at 9. He told everybody I'll be there at 9, and it is now almost 10, and we're an hour and a half into this, and he's there. I'm driving from Houston to Austin. It's not the area. I think they're messing with you, Barry, but that's okay. Just go out and come back in. If you're driving, that's not having a stable connection. And the bandwidth is different. Here's another thing too. It's different people broadcast at different ratios. Like some people only do it 720. Some people do it at 1080. Some people do it 4K. So it all depends on the person and the coding that they put out. So if there's a problem, it's usually probably with the encoder. Again, everything is here on my end. It's fine. I can't. There's nothing else I can do. Let's see. Let's see here. Waits for the long question. So no regular. No, I said that that there would be a 1 o'clock show today. Now, more than likely, President Trump, whatever he does get on, will not speak for more than probably an hour. And so if he's off, then it gives me time. If I have to push to 1:30, but I don't see there being a problem with having the afternoon show. So we will see. Let's see. Let's see. I was just looking at some of these things. It's cracking me. Gold and silver. What do you know good during the tribulation? Well, do you know good during the tribulation? So repent so you won't be here. Yeah, okay. The room is fully packed. It is a fully packed room indeed. I can show you the RSBN feed has a distant pullback camera that they're using, and there's probably I'd say a couple hundred people there. I'm looking at my numbers here, my GPU, a CPU, and everything else. Everything that seems to be fine on this end. I called the cable company. They said, you have a good signal. Wrong. I called them this morning. They had to work on a cable. Yeah. And understand, there's a lot of things going on right now. A lot of things happening. Nobody knows what they're doing up wherever they're just crazy stuff happened. Let's see here. Whatever happened to Letitia James? Somebody said, whatever happened to Letitia James' lawsuit? Good question. Good question. Maybe they're doing something. I don't know. I can't go down there. Somebody, SB spanking somebody. Here's your third time out. Let's see here. Gonna start buying gold and silver. First time buying. Start slow. Do what you can. Diversify the portfolio. Get into as many different things. Even maybe play with some Bitcoin. When I say play, you can buy, even though Bitcoin's like $100,000 or so for one coin, you can buy Bitcoin for like $20 and just get used to it and see what it is and do away with the fear and everything. All right, somebody says Trump is meeting with Zelensky right now. Could be why he's late. BLS brother, how you doing? Did you know it was 101 in Connecticut yesterday? No, I did not. Stay cool, brother. Stay cool. It could be the heat around the country and a lot of other things messing with cable. Yeah, it could be. Let me see here. She's going to prison, somebody says. Ben, how's Ben doing this morning? Veteran Biker was just finishing up when Barry came on. It's been a good morning. So one of the things, you brought up Ben. Ben has been doing something. He's like, Barry, you got to do it. And I'm like, it's kind of terrifying. Ben's been taking phone calls from people. And Ben's been doing, live call-ins where people could actually just talk to him and call on the phone. I'm like, dude, I'm terrified. I'm terrified without a delay that I might get some troll or nut that an SV and Ashley and Roaring Rage can't help me with because, I got to hit the button and kill the call. So I need to know, what do you guys think? Should we do live calls here? Would you want to be able to call in and we could talk and do like I remember El Rushbo used to have a call-in Friday. Should we do a call-in show? Do you have questions that you would like me to answer or try to answer or try to stump me with? Any of those kind of things. Maybe we could do it. That might be fun. Or should we do this? Would this be better? What if I got a VoIP service where you could call in and leave your question on voicemail, and then we could go ahead and play the question and then answer it. Or would you want to do call-ins? If you guys would like to do call-ins, I will give it a shot. I'll get out there and put myself prone and naked and talk to you. What do you think? That would be awesome. Yes, for like an hour. An hour. You want me to take phone calls for an hour? Oh my God. Can you even imagine some of the questions? So, what'd you have for breakfast this morning? I haven't eaten yet. We got out live here at 8:30, and I haven't had a chance to eat, so I'm stomach's growling right about now. Prez, let's see here. Your idea is better. Don't give the trolls a chance. Yeah, that's good. Live calling. Wow. No call-ins. Hell yes. I'll put up a poll. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. This one says, Jess says, I called Ben this morning. I was terrified, but he was so nice. I would love it if you took calls. All right, Swanton, Sector, Jess. Let's call you Jess. Jess, what did you ask him? What did you ask Ben this morning when you called in? Because I would love to know, like, what kind of questions. I'm going to have to go watch one of Ben's shows and say, hey, Ben, let's figure out what people are asking you. Go ahead, play recordings of phone calls and then respond. Could do that too. Set a time limit for calls. So here's an easy way to do it where we wouldn't have to set time limits or anything, is because, let me give you a secret as to how some of those radio stations, the big guys like the Hannitys, the Limbaughs, used to do some of this stuff. They would let the person ask the question, hey, what color is the sky today? Then they hit mute, so the person can't keep talking and keep going. And then they can answer the question. And then if they want to pick up the phone call and talk to them again, they could just unmute them. But they would like, hey, how you doing, Susie? Susie from Idaho here. Yeah, Susie, what's your question? Blah, 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 blah. Bam, mute it right after they ask the question. And that way they could move on. BLS is like, do the live call-ins. We got your back. All right. I got to call Ben and say how can we set that up? Call in Fridays. Well, all right. Trolls would definitely try and hurt your show if you did live calls. But you know what? Here's the thing. If we all know in advance that trolls may get on, then I can also prepare for the trolls too. I can have different sound bites and different things and be ready to go if a troll comes on, and we can laugh at them. You see, a lot of them, they try to make bad, but then when they get laughed at, they get pissed off and they wither away. So that would be fun. Do a poll. Okay, here he comes. The boss is walking out. All right, here we go.
Fairly long trip, but worth it. Tremendous things have been accomplished, as you probably noticed. Listened to a lot of wonderful speeches from the heads of a lot of wonderful countries. But I want to thank you for joining us at the conclusion of a highly productive NATO summit in the Netherlands. I want to thank them for the royal treatment they've given us. Couldn't have been nicer. And it's a beautiful country, really a beautiful country. Coming in, I saw the most beautiful trees. In fact, I want to bring some back with me. I want to also thank, I had breakfast this morning with the King and Queen, and they're incredible people. I said, you're central casting. Beautiful people, great people, big, beautiful heart. And I enjoyed that. And also NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's been terrific. He's been a friend of mine. He used to be right here running this wonderful country. Now he's the NATO Secretary General. He's doing a fantastic job. And the Prime Minister, we appreciate everything you've done. And as you know, last weekend, the United States successfully carried out a massive precision strike on Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. And it was very, very successful. It was called obliteration. No other military on earth could have done it. And now this incredible exercise of American strength has paved the way for peace with a historic ceasefire agreement late Monday, and we call it the 12-day war. Spoke to a few people. I guess that just sounded like the right name. It was a 12-day war. And we think it's over. I don't think they're going to be going back at each other. I don't think so. Not only have we dealt decisively with the critical threat of Iran's nuclear program, which was what I wanted. I said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said that for 15 years, long before I decided to do the political thing. But we've also reasserted the credibility of American deterrence, which is like no other. The people at NATO said there's never been anything. You know, I rebuilt the entire military during my first term. And we have a great military. We have great generals. Got to know the good ones and the bad ones. We kept the good ones. Over the past 2 days, I was honored to participate in the NATO leaders meeting and also had extremely good individual discussions with the King and the Queen, Secretary General Rutte, and the Prime Minister. Great discussions. Very knowledgeable people. Major focus of our conversations at the summit was the need for other NATO members to take up the burden of the defense of Europe, and that included the financial burden. As you know, it was 2%, and we got it up to 5%. And they said, a couple of them came up to me, one in particular said, "Sir, we've been trying to get it up to 3% for 20 years, and we haven't been able, and you got it up to 5%. So they're going to be, most of them, I guess almost all of them, are going to be contributing now, 5%, a number that people are surprised at, but you need it today. The United States accounts for 2/3 of all NATO defense spending, and since I began pushing for additional commitments in 2017, believe it or not, our allies have increased spending by $700 billion. I said to people, you don't have any money, and a lot of them weren't paying. And so I started the process, and I picked it up as soon as I got back, which is 6 months ago. And following my election last November, almost all have accelerated plans to reach the 2%, 3%, 4%, and then ultimately, very quickly, 5%. And all of this is going to be done very quickly, almost immediately. You probably know this as well as I do. I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big focus. In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate. When the allies reach this number, it will add more than $1 trillion a year. Think of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense. And this is a monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It was quite unfair, actually. But this is a big win for Europe and for actually Western civilization. For years, past administrations failed to get most allies to contribute even the 2%. I remember when I came here, we had 4 countries that were up to 2%. And I remember Poland was there. A couple of them were there. But most of them were. We had 28 at the time. As you know, it's increased a little bit. And they've agreed now to more than double their budgets in all cases. And Europe stepping up to take more responsibility for its security will help prevent future disasters like the horrible situation with Russia and Ukraine. And hopefully we're going to get that solved. Last week, they lost 7,000 soldiers, mostly soldiers. But they're also getting hit in Kiev. They're getting hit in some of the towns also. And that means life. Life is disappearing also in the cities and towns. Should have never happened, would have never happened if I was president. Said it 1,000 times. And it never did happen. It's never even thought about. But it's vital that this additional money be spent on very serious military hardware, not bureaucracy. And hopefully that hardware is going to be made in America because we have the best hardware in the world. You saw that where 14 missiles were shot at us the other day. And I They were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, we're going to shoot him. Is 1 o'clock okay? They said, it's fine. And everybody was emptied off the base, so they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners. They call them the gunners. And out of 14 high-end missiles that were shot at the base in Qatar, all 14, as you know, were shot down by our equipment. Amazing stuff. Amazing that they can do. It's like shooting a bullet with a bullet. It's the same thing if you think about it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't even that surprised. I said, do you do that well often? They say, we pretty much do, sir. The Ukraine crisis has also highlighted the urgency of rebuilding our defense industrial base, both in the United States and among the allied nations. We cannot afford to be dependent on foreign adversaries for critical minerals. And as you know, we made a deal with Ukraine to take a vast amount of the land they have for minerals. We need it. And once again, I want to thank all of the people in the Netherlands, incredible people. It's a great place. And all of the NATO allies for the tremendous summit that we just had. A letter just came in, and a statement came in from the Atomic Energy Commission of Israel. And I just wanted, this is an official letter, and they're very serious people, as you know. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordo destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility totally inoperable. It was devastated. We assess that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years to come. This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material, which it won't. It's so sad that that whole thing had to go. But I just want to thank our pilots. You know, they were maligned and treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, nobody's watching them. So they're just wasting a lot of time, wasting my time. And the New York Times, they put out a story that, well, maybe they were hit, but it wasn't bad. Well, it was so bad that they ended the war. It ended the war. Somebody said in a certain way, you know, that it was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki, you know, that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way, but it was so devastating. Also, they have, out of Dubai, just came that Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, this is Iran's foreign ministry, says its nuclear installations were very badly damaged by the American strike. So what bothered me about these reports with fake reports put out by the New York Times, failing, I call it the failing New York Times because it's doing terribly. Without me, it would be doing no business at all. But, and by fake news, CNN and MSDNC, all of these terrible people, you know, they have no credibility. You know, when I started, they were at 94% credibility, the media. Now it's at 16%. And I'm very proud of it because I've exposed it for what it is. But when I saw them starting to question the caliber of the attack, was it bad? Well, it was really bad. It was devastating. They were obliterated. In fact, you can't get into the tunnels. They just put that over. That just came out. They can't. There's nothing. There's no way you can even get down. The whole thing is collapsed in a disaster. And I think all of the nuclear stuff is down there because it's very hard to remove. And we did it very quickly. When they heard we were coming, it was, you know, you can't move it. Very hard, very dangerous, actually, to move to. And they also knew we were coming, so I don't think too many people want to be down there knowing we're coming with the bunker busters, as we call them. We're the only ones that have them. We have the best equipment, best nuclear equipment, and we have the best equipment in the world. And by the way, we can't forget our submarine, which was out there, submarines actually, but submarine was out there. We shot 30 rockets into an area, every single one of them. I think it was almost 400 miles away, I think, Pete, right? 400 and long. It was in the ocean, long ways away. And we shot a total of 30. Every single one of them hit within 9 inches from where it was supposed to be. It took out a lot because we didn't do just Fordo. We did 2 others in addition. which hadn't been completely destroyed. So we hit them with a submarine from hundreds of miles away. Amazing, just amazing equipment. Greatest submarines in the world. Nobody's even close. They're 20 years behind us when it comes to submarine technology. So that's one, and the other was from the Atomic Energy Commission, and they have about 3 or 4 of them now coming in from atomic energy commissions from various places. But the one that we have that just came out, we released it a little while ago, was from the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission, but numerous of them are getting to see the site, and the site has been demolished. And again, we had these brave patriots, these incredible flyers, these people that can fly a plane better than anybody can fly a plane, going into very hostile territory, flying into the territory that has got more missiles and things pointed at it. But it was very stealth. They didn't get to see it. It was dark. That's the amazing thing about the shots. They hit the shots perfectly, and yet it was dead dark. There was no moon. There was no light. It was virtually moonless. It was very dark, and the shots were hit perfectly. But when they get demeaned, and they were very upset about it because they knew how strong it would be. Back in Missouri, the pilots flew about 36 hours, 2 ways, far distance, and in those incredible B-2s. And we then had the F-22s, and we had the F-35s, and we had other planes, and we had, I think, a total of 52 tankers. That means the big tankers, because the refueling was a lot for all of the different planes that we sent. Incredible operation, and I have to say, General Raisin Kane was incredible. That's why he beat ISIS, and we beat ISIS in a matter of weeks. I was told it would take 4 to 5 years. We did it in a few weeks. And he was great. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff right now, because I had a very good experience with him. He knocked out ISIS in a period of literally a few weeks. Amazing. And it was supposed to take a few years, 5 years to be exact. So we had a great victory there, and we then came here, and I think we had a great victory here. But this is an ongoing project. This is the safety of Europe, the safety of the world. And they've raised it from 2% to 5%, something which nobody, and you're talking about over $1 trillion a year. So we're talking about a lot of money coming in from countries that we're not paying nearly enough to be effective. So I have, as you know, Marco Rubio with me, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State and Secretary of War. Should we say Secretary? You know, it used to be called Secretary of War. Maybe for a couple of weeks we'll call it that, because we feel like warriors. Used to be called Secretary of War. In fact, if you look at the old building next to the White House, you can see where it used to be Secretary of War. Then we became politically correct, and they called it Secretary of Defense. I don't know, maybe we'll have to start thinking about changing it, but we feel that way. Do we have any questions, please? Wow. That's a lot of questions. Who's a nice person? Oh, you're not a nice person, but I'll let you ask one. Go ahead. What's he going to ask? He is not nice at all. I know him well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time before flying home. You just said you believe the conflict between Israel and Iran is over. What makes you so confident it is? And what do you do if it isn't?
Because I dealt with both, and they're both tired, exhausted. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently. And they were both satisfied to go home and get out. And can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon. I think a big telltale sign was when, as you know, Iran somewhat, by not much, violated the ceasefire. And Israel had the planes going out that morning, and there were a lot of them, 52 of them. And I said, you got to get them back. And they brought them back. They didn't do anything. They brought them back. It was very good. I thought it was amazing, actually. They have fought a hell of a war. They fought very hard. I think the war ended, actually, when we hit the various nuclear sites with the planes. And I just hope you people can give these pilots, these are the best pilots in the world. They're the best shots in the world. They call them shots. That's what they are. And wait a minute. And I just hope you can give them the respect they deserve, because they came home to fake news and like, oh, gee, there was hardly any damage. The things are decimated. So, but I think, no, I think they're very much finished. I think Israel's going to get back to doing what they do, and I think that Iran's going to get back. You know, Iran has a huge advantage. They have great oil, and they can do things. I don't see them getting back involved in the nuclear business anymore. I think they've had it. They've been at it for 20 years, and I don't see that happening either. Now, if it does, we're always there. It won't be me. It'll be somebody else, but we're there. We'll have to do something about it. Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN?
Here, I'll hold it.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Thank you, sir.
You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also, Iran made the statement, and it's also, if you read the document that was given, that Pete can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage, but they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question? Please, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, blue dress.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Yesterday, you said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yeah.
Are you giving up on your maximum pressure campaign? Because there
With
are
who?
sanctions right now.
With who?
On Iran.
No, look, they just had a war. The war was fought. They fought it bravely. I'm not giving up. They're in the oil business. I mean, I could stop it if I wanted. I could sell China the oil myself. I don't want to do that. They're going to need money to put that country back into shape. We want to see that happen. Would it? No. If they're going to sell oil, they're going to sell oil. We're not taking over the oil. We could have, you know. I used to say with Iraq, keep the oil. I could say it here, too. We could have kept the oil. No, China is going to want to buy oil. They can buy it from us. They can buy it from other people. But you're going to have to put that country back into shape. It desperately needs money. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please. Here we go. I'm picking the beauties today. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Secretary General Rutte has described President Putin as an adversary, a threat, an enemy. Do you view him the same way? And in addition to that, you mentioned General Kane, your chief of staff, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane.
Yes, he has said that Mr. Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Do you view that in the same way?
Possible. I mean, it's possible. I know one thing. He'd like to settle. He'd like to get out of this thing. It's a mess for him. He called the other day. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, you can help me with Russia. Because, you know, in the last few weeks, we took care of India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I think on Friday we have coming in, the Congo is coming in, and Rwanda is coming in. That was a vicious war that went on, a machete war, heads chopped off all over Africa. They're coming in. We did two others in addition to that. Nobody's ever done anything like this. No, I consider him a person that's, I think, been misguided. I'm very surprised, actually. I thought we would have had that settled easy. I've settled 4 of them in the meantime. But he did call up, and he said, you know, he's close to Iran. He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with you, with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that, too. Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've made clear your position on what impact the strikes had. I wanted to ask you what is next with Iran. For instance, is there any indication from U.S. intelligence that Iran was able to move any material, including
No, we just the
uranium?
opposite. We think we hit them so hard and so fast they didn't get to move. And if you knew about that material, it's very hard and very dangerous to move. It's called, in many people, they call it dust, but it's very, very heavy. It's very, very hard to move. And they were way down, you know, they're 30 stories down. They're literally 30, 35 stories down underground.
You think you got it all?
Oh yeah, we think we think it's covered with granite, concrete, and steel.
Can I ask you, are you interested in restarting negotiations with Iran? And if so, have they reciprocated?
So
or
our
is this sort of a
people,
settled matter?
Marco could answer this, but our people are not. I'm not. The way I look at it, they fought. The war's done, and I could get a statement that they're not going to go nuclear. We're probably going to ask for that, but they're not going to be doing it. But they're not going to be doing it anyway. They've had it. They've had it. Now maybe someday in the future we'll want that. But I've asked Marco, do you want to draw, I just asked him the question as we were walking on the stage, do you want to draw up a little agreement for them to sign? Because I think we can get them to sign it. I don't think it's necessary. Marco, do you want to talk about that, please?
Mr. President, I think President Trump has shown a willingness to meet and talk to anybody in the world who's interested in peace. I don't know of any president that's been as willing as he has to meet with anyone and talk about peace. We'd love to have peaceful relations with any country in the world. And so obviously that'll depend on Iran's willingness not just to engage in peace, but to negotiate directly with the United States, not through some third country or fourth country process. But I know of no president, probably in our modern history, that's sought peace more than President Trump has.
Sounds like the door is open, but you're in no rush. Is that right? It sounds like the door is open, but
I'll tell you what, look, we're going to talk to them next week with Iran. We may sign an agreement. I don't know. To me, I don't think it's that necessary. I mean, they had a war, they fought. Now they're going back to their world. I don't care if I have an agreement or not. The only thing we'd be asking for is what we were asking for before about we want no nuclear, but we destroyed the nuclear. In other words, that's destroyed. I said, Iran will not have nuclear. Well, we blew it up. It's blown up. The kingdom come. And so I don't feel very strongly about it. If we got a document, wouldn't be bad. We're going to meet with them, actually. We're going to meet with them. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, Netherlands TV, thank you for visiting our country.
Good.
As I understood, I, of course, would like to know how you slept last night at the House of the King.
Oh, I slept beautifully.
But probably a more serious question. I think you just had a meeting with President Zelensky. Did you discuss any ceasefire in this Russo-Ukrainian war?
No, I wanted to know how he's doing. He was very nice, actually. We had little rough times sometimes. He was couldn't have been nicer. I think he'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think what I took from the meeting couldn't have been nicer, actually. But I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin, see if we can get it ended. But look, these are brave people. They're fighting these wars all over the place. Last week they had, I guess, close to 7,000 young soldiers, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers were killed, 7,000 in 1 week. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'll be speaking to Putin. No, I had a good meeting with Zelensky, and I had a lot of good meetings. We had a lot of good meetings with a lot of people, a lot of great leaders. But he's fighting a brave battle. It's a tough battle. Yeah. Go ahead, white dress.
Thank you. Ida Hallikainen from Finland, Ilta-Sanomat. You have played golf with President Alexander Stubb. How do you see Finland as a NATO ally and partner, and how would you describe your relationship with our president?
Well, he's a very good golfer, okay? In fact, he was on his college golf team. He went to a good college in the South, as you know, a very good college, and he was a good golfer. We had a good time. I think my relationship's great. I want to buy icebreakers. You're very good at icebreakers. And I actually made him an offer. I didn't go to Congress. They'll try and impeach me for this. But there's an old, it's not old, it's fairly new, but it's used icebreaker. And I offered him about 1/3 of what he asked for. But we're negotiating. We need icebreakers in the U.S. And if we can get some inexpensively, I'd like to do that. Actually, they'll fix it up, make it good. Also, we may buy some icebreakers. You're the king of icebreakers, that particular country. They make them good. They make them really good, and they know what they're doing. And so we're negotiating with them for about 15 different icebreakers, but one of them is available now. It's old, and it's, old. It's like 5, 6 years old, and we're trying to buy it. I'm trying to make a good deal. All I do my whole life. That's all I do is make deals. Yeah, please. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, a question for NewsHour, Dutch TV. First of all, on Article 5, on your way here, you spoke about the commitment of the U.S. to Article 5, saying, I'll give you my definition once we're here. What is your definition, and may the U.S. commitment to Article 5 change in case some of the NATO members do not reach the threshold that was discussed today? My second question is following up on a colleague on Iran. What intel reports do say that everything over there was obliterated?
Yeah, well, there are numerous of those reports, and they're coming out fast and furious. But the most respected ones we've already seen. And I will say that on a very confidential basis, they're looking at the reports, like numerous reports, and including people going to the site and checking the site. And they're going to be having, I guess you're going to be having over the next couple of days you're going to encapsulate it. But no, the site was obliterated, just like I said it was, and just like the pilots should be given credit for. As far as Article 5, look, when I came here because it was something I'm supposed to be doing, but I left here a little bit differently. I said, I watched the heads of these countries get up, and the love and the passion that they showed for their country was unbelievable. I've never seen quite anything like it. They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And you can ask Mark, or you can ask any of the people that were there. It was really moving to see it. They loved their country. They were so respectful of me because I'm the head of the United States. And I made, the King of Saudi Arabia, when I was in the Middle East. So I was in Qatar for a different reason, not a reason to get shot at. We were in there for economic development reasons, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. All three leaders of those countries, and we took back $5.1 trillion into the United States. All three leaders said, you're presiding over the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants a piece of it. He said, a year ago, your country was dead. You had a deadhead running it. You had a country that was dead, and it was dead. You had people pouring through the borders. You had inflation. You had everything. He said, you've made it in 5 months at that time. You've made it the hottest country. This is the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest country in the world. And when I was around that table, it was a nice group of people, many of whom I knew from previous. When I saw the passion they had for the country, and almost everyone, and you probably have the tapes, it was very public, but almost every one of them said, thank God for the United States. Without the United States, they couldn't really have NATO. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It will in the future because now they're paying much more money, but it wouldn't work. It was great. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff. And we're here to help them protect their country. Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today's...
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. Spain is the only country that... Are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain... I like Spain. I have so many people from Spain that it's a great place and they're great people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay. And, so they want a little bit of a free ride. But they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right, sir, please. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you, tall one. The tall man.
Mr. President, Johannes Petra from Austrian National Television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said that sarcastically.
Of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look, we just ended a war in 12 days that was simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended Rwanda and the Congo. It's coming to sign the documents. We've already signed basic documents, but they're coming, I think, to the White House on Friday. We ended, Serbia was going to go at it. But maybe the most important of all, India and Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look, if you're going to go fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No, you have to do a trade deal. I said, we're not doing any trade deal. And in fact, I had the general, who was very impressive. The general from Pakistan was in my office last week. You know, Prime Minister Modi is a great friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. He's a great man. And I got them to reason. I said, we're not doing a trade deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight each other, we're not doing a trade deal. And you know what? He said, no, I want to do the trade deal. We stopped the nuclear war. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. Here's another beauty, Jeff. He's a beauty, all right. Go ahead.
Mr. President, to follow up on Ukraine, will the United States contribute any more money to Ukraine's defense this year to the $5 billion that allies are giving? And one question, you had another meeting with the Dutch opposition leader, Mr. Wilders. Can you tell us about that meeting? And are you upset about his anti-Muslim stance?
I'm not upset about it. It's just his view. He's unhappy with the way things are going in this country and various countries. He was an opposition leader, and I was asked to meet with the opposition leader by the people that are running. I think they have some deal where if you have a meeting, you're supposed to meet with an opposition leader. I said, that's strange. We don't do that. But I met with I didn't know him. He seemed like a very nice guy, but he's in opposition to the current people, and that was set up by the current people. So I assume when I met with the Prime Minister, you're supposed to meet with the opposition. We'll have to try that sometime in our country. Let's not do it. But I thought he was very good. As far as money going, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of spirit. Look, Vladimir Putin really has to end that war. People are dying at levels that people haven't seen before for a long time. Go ahead. Go ahead. White shirt. Oh, she's all excited.
Okay. So, BBC News Ukrainian. I would
Where are
like
you
to
from?
ask you. I'm from Ukraine.
Oh.
So my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be
Is your
there.
husband a soldier? No?
He's
there now?
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
in Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available, you know. They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel, and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question, and I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay? Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were criticizing...
Where are you from?
Bloomberg News.
Oh, Bloomberg.
You
That's
were
wonderful.
You were criticizing the Federal Reserve Chair before coming to this summit.
Yeah, I think he's terrible.
I was wondering if you've begun interviewing different candidates for the Fed pick.
Yeah, I know within 3 or 4 people who I'm going to pick. I mean, he goes out pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible. We have no inflation. We have a tremendous economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is pouring in. Factories are being built because they don't want to pay the tariffs, so they're building them all over the country. I think we're close to $15 trillion. I told you 5.1 trillion from the Middle East alone, but of investment money coming in. There's never been anything like that in the history of our country. But we have no inflation. And we have borrowing because Biden, stupidly, they did short-term debt. So we have borrowing coming up. And, we'll go 10 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go a long period of time when we do the debt. And because of him, because of this guy, we will have to pay for years. We'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be some. That's true. I said, if there is some, what you do is raise the rate. I'm okay with that. You raise the rate in 2 years from now or in a year from now. But because the rate's high, we have to pay more for debt. It's pretty equal. In other words, if it's 4%, it's 4%. If you drop it a point, you'll pay 3%. So it's fairly equal, not necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion a year because of this very average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low. Low IQ for what he does, okay? Wait, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said, if there's inflation in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year from now, you raise the rate and you take care of the inflation, among other things. But he's probably a very political guy, I guess. I don't know. I think he's a very stupid person, actually. All right, one more. Let's go. How about you? Go ahead. She looks so happy and everything.
Thank you.
That's why I
I'm
picked
from
her.
Spain too. I'm Ana Bu from La Vanguardia. I wanted to know if
You're where from?
Spain too. I wanted to know if you want to
That's the Spain corner right there. Shouldn't have said that. That's okay. I do like Spain, by the way. I think it's unfair that they're not paying, but go ahead.
Are you going to negotiate directly with Spain about?
I'm going to negotiate directly with Spain. I'm going to do it myself. They're going to pay. They'll pay more money this way. You should tell them to go back and pay. You're a reporter? Tell them to go back. They ought to join all of those countries that are paying 5%. Spain's going to be just about the only one that's not. They were the most hostile toward doing it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. All right, Kelly, go ahead. Here we go. Here's another one.
Hello, sir. Thank you very
We
much.
got them all today.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you talked about expecting some on-the-ground assessments at Fordo and other
Yeah.
sites.
Now here-
Is that
here again.
Israeli and U.S.?
It's been obliterated, Kelly. It's been
What is your message
obliterated.
then, sir, to the intelligence community when they present reports? You're not disputing the DIA report. You're just
They presented a
exists.
report that wasn't finished. We're talking about something that took place 3 days ago.
I understand that, sir.
The
It's an
report was
initial
done
assessment. So
2
what
days
is
ago.
your-
Wait a minute.
Yes.
They didn't see it. All they can do is take a guess. Now, if you take a look at the pictures, if you take a look how it's all blackened, you know the fire and brimstone is all underground because it's granite and it's all underground. You don't show it. But even there, with all of that being said, the whole area for 75 yards around the hole where it hit is black with fire. The group that's run by this gentleman, in fact, you may want to talk about it for a second because we're going to issue a report. And I think it's not even a very exciting report at this point. It's been obliterated, totally obliterated. And they did a report, but it was like, if you look at the dates, it's just a few days after it
Understood,
happened.
sir.
So they didn't see it. They said it may be very severe. Go
Understood.
ahead.
Do you have a message for the intelligence community, though, in terms of unvarnished information getting to you, that it's not
I don't
just-
really have a message. I would say issue the report when you know what happened. I wouldn't say that it could be severe or maybe not. They use the word severe. It could be severe or maybe it's not.
And briefly-
So people like you picked up and said, oh, it's not severe.
We're just-
No, the report was not a complete report. Yeah, the message was probably wait till you know the answer before you.
And sir, did you not have a public component to your Zelensky meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
But you're not disputing the report said what it said, even though it was initial.
The report said what it said, and it was fine. It was severe, they think, but they had no idea. They shouldn't have issued a report until they did. But we've gotten the information. I think Pete said it better than you can say it. And, you know, you should be proud, especially you, should be proud of those pilots, and you shouldn't be trying to demean them.
No, there's
those pilots flew at great risk, a big chance that they'd never come back home and see their husbands or their wives. Let me just tell you, you and NBC, fake news, which is one of the worst, and CNN, New York Times, are all bad. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. You know what? You should be praising those people instead of trying to find some. By trying to go and get me, you're hurting those people. They were devastated. You know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a lot. And I got a call that the pilots and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then they have, and I'm not referring to you, but real scum come out and write reports that are as negative as they could possibly be. It should be the opposite. You should make them heroes and heroines. You should make them really people that they were so devastated when they heard this news. And you know what they said? One of them, I spoke to one of them, said, "Sir, we hit the site. It was perfect. It was dead on," because they don't understand fake news, because they have a normal life, except they have to fly very big, very fast planes. But it's a shame. You should be making them heroes. All right, in the back. Go ahead, back, white, yeah. White jacket, yeah. Go ahead, give my mic. Hello?
Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard your NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No?
He
did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously appreciative of that, but do you hope that actually they're going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own without...
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning, and I think they'll be able to, and I think they're going to remember this day. And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day. They took it. One of the gentlemen said, you know what? We've been trying to raise the rate for 30 years, he said, 20 years, from almost the beginning. And he's been there for a long time. He said, until you came along, it never happened. What you did is amazing. It's been sort of an amazing day for a lot of reasons, but also for that. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think they can do it without you, though, in the future? Can they do it without
Well, ask
the United
Mark.
States?
I mean, you have to ask Mark, okay? So we're heading back. We're heading back. I want to thank these two gentlemen behind me. They're incredible people, both of them. They've done a fantastic job. And Susie's in the front, and she's done great. And Monica, thank you very much. It was quite an exciting time. And we're going to be heading back. We'll be back soon, and we'll see you in Washington, D.C. Remember this, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
You know, if it was anybody else, anyone who had any self-awareness, any pride, any sort of fear of shame, you could never do what these people do. They probably wear it as a badge of honor that President Trump just gets out there and just whoops it like it's a bad stepchild. And then Pete Hegseth walks up there, someone who's worked in the industry, knows every single one of you, and knows you're all scum. I couldn't imagine looking in the mirror and going, okay, I'm going to go to work today and everybody hates me. I'm going to go to work today and nobody cares what I have to say. I'm going to go to work today and I'm going to work for a television station that has this kind of rating, and the president just continues to lambast in public. What kind of self or lack of self-pride do you have to be some of these reporters? Kelly O'Donnell was the woman he was talking to at the end there, Kelly. And wow, it's amazing. You have to have just no sort of self-awareness. You're getting destroyed, and you can't wait to go back and type in your report and do your little hit so they can broadcast it on television for the people who didn't watch, so you can try to pretend like you did something good. Well, today, when I asked President Trump what he said, here's what he said. But he failed to answer what I really meant was, we're getting intelligence reports from who? From who? Who are you getting these reports from? Well, the intelligence community said, oh, you mean the intelligence community who said that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian? That intelligence community? Who is telling you? Oh, I can't reveal my source because you ain't got one. You're full of crap. There's your source. There are three guys standing right there. Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio. Those are your sources. The other guy who's trying to be cool, who you're slipping a couple bucks to, and he ain't got shit. Excuse my language. And President Trump is doing everything he can, now with Pete Hegseth as well, to let the world know you are insignificant scum. You have to be, I don't even know what you have to be to turn on these networks at this point. See, you guys have had the luxury of spending many days and nights with me in terms of listening to these idiots. And it's to the point now, which is very interesting. So I saw an interesting phenomenon happen today. Let me tell you what that phenomenon was. Caitlin Collins asked a question, and none of you who had to see it was her. You all knew the voice. Just the fact that just imagine, applaud yourself for that. I gotta applaud you for that. You are now so astute. You are so educated in the realm of fake news that you can tell by the voice, oh, it's this idiot again. You don't even have to see her. Caitlin Collins has reached a new plateau. You are denigrated by the sound of your voice. People know it's you. And and then President Trump is saying, oh, it's you again. What? Oh, this one. And he doesn't even have to say the names. Oh, it's this one. Hey, President Trump, I saw and you all know. I don't think you realized it as you guys were putting out comments. And have you been putting out comments for the last couple of press conferences? You don't even need to see some of these people and you know they're scum. You just hear the voice. Like, I know who that is. That's that man-looking woman with the funky grin from CNN who nobody watches, who tries to make herself look important, and every time she asks a question, she gets beat over the head with the baseball bat. And still gets paid a couple $1 million a year to do it. That's the part you just must go, are you serious? I guess the qualification for being in a reporter at these agencies at this point is A, Trump is always bad. There's nothing good about Trump. Don't ever say anything good about Trump. B, you have to have no pride, none whatsoever. Just ask the questions we tell you to. No matter how bad it is for you, you're getting paid a lot, so just ask the damn question. You get to travel around, you see the world, you get to fly on Air Force One, so shut up and ask this question. But they're going to rip me apart. Think about that when you go into your apartment in New York City tonight. Oh, with the Muslim mayor. Okay. That's what these people do. Very easy. Look good, dress well, ask a stupid question, get beat up, get people knowing you're full of it, and just get paid well to do it. In other words, you're a puppet. A really bad puppet. Does the president have to pick them to ask a question? And if not, then why does he? Because he can pick whoever he wants. I think he actually enjoys embarrassing some of these people. I think he does it so he can say what he wants to say. He doesn't have to call her. No, he can just go this, and you back there, and you back there. He likes it. He likes the battle. To him, it's like a cat and a mouse. He likes to hunt. And he's spacking around. He's playing with his food. He's like a shark in a seal pit. Remember that? Throwing seals up in the air. But it's so funny. You guys actually hear the voice. That's too funny. If it weren't for President Trump, there would be no news. No, imagine it. He's completely right. If it weren't for him, think about that. What would they be talking about? I have no idea. He does what Herr said, Barry. He calls on them just to whoop their butts. Yeah, Carol says he loves getting those jabs in. But the funny thing is, I think they like taking the jabs. I've never known a group of people so willing to self-flagellate. Oh, please, beat me some more. I love the beating. Who wants that? Who wants to be blasted by the President of the United States? Who takes it as an honor to be blasted by Pete? Hey, man, who do you go home to at night and go, good job today? Or you walk into a restaurant with her or him. Get to the table, please. Nobody sees us. Because you imagine you're in a restaurant and Caitlin Collins walks in with her husband or wife or whatever. And you're like, you're a piece of crap. You are an absolute piece of crap. Oh, man. I could maybe come to go. One day, Caitlin will come to the right side. See, Caitlin used to be on the right side. Some of you guys probably don't remember. She used to be on Fox, which is, it has to make you wonder how much of the stuff that you see from some of these people are them playing a role. Because many of them have flip-flop networks and have, remember, what was her name? Allison Camerata. She was on Fox, and she was a smiley morning chick, and then she goes to CNN and destroys Trump. How do you do that? And what was the other one? Gretchen Carlson. Oh, she's on Fox. Now she's on CNN. Like, how do you... were you faking then or are you faking now? Let us know, because you cannot change your personality like that. And some of these people, because of the paycheck, will do it just that fast. You can just think about who some of these people are and what they've become just because they've switched the network. And they're no longer have to toe the line here, but then they never come back for the most part. So, yeah, Nicole Wallace used to work under Bush. Yep, and she got paid well. Now, I don't know if you guys saw last night, but Joy Reid popped her fake head up last night. She showed up on CNN. Not as a host, but she showed up as one of the guests on a panel. they just regurgitate these people and rehash and put them right back in and just rearrange the decks on the Titanic. They just all move around. I'm like, don't you got any new people? Joy Reid failed on MSNBC. Now you're bringing her in as a panelist on CNN. I saw it. I'm like, okay, I got to show that today because I have to. But it is what it is. All right, so it is now 11. I've got to get out of here and get ready for the 1 o'clock show. Hopefully I can make it at 1. If not, then I will have to push it to 1:30. But let's go ahead and read Super Chat so I can get going. All right. Mark Rutte, current head of Nato, is a puppet of WF Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab's gone now, so I wonder who was running the WEF. He sold out his country for that post. Just another knucklehead. Tip jar, DJT, we carry our own water. I hope he goes after CNN's license. That'd be nice. Beverly Linton, I'd love to hear Trump's comments about the victory of a socialist, totalitarian, anti-Semitic winner of the Democrat nomination for mayor of New York City. It's coming. He's on a bigger stage right now, but when he gets back, I'm sure he'll have something to say about New York. Naomi McCormick, how soon they forget about 9/11. Yep, 9/11. Actually, I like to say 9/12. Just think about that. On 9/12, how everybody thought, how everybody felt. And here we are, just 24 years later, and all these young people who weren't really alive, who weren't really understanding what happened with 9/11, who now were born and went to college, and now they hate America. And I'm sure their parents and many people who were there for 2001 are going, I can't believe what I'm seeing. All those cops, all those firefighters, man, unbelievable. Becky Donovan, thank you. Beverly, again, so tragic. What was a beautiful, foul city will go away. Voter fraud has and will vote voters into power. It wasn't. I don't even think it was voters fraud. At this time, I don't think they can claim voter fraud. I think what you're seeing is apathy. People didn't go out and vote. Go look at the numbers. Maybe I'll do that in my 1 o'clock show. I'll show you the numbers. It wasn't, they didn't have to do a fraud. Nobody showed up. They ignored it. Sheila, that's what they count on too. Sheila, thank you. Dave Rattan, never put gold, silver in bank's safety deposit. If the bank fails, you lose whatever is on your deposit box. They use your assets to cover their losses. Ooh. Good point there. Love a team Zoom call dedicated to real estate and getting started. Yep, we're going to do that. Why is CNN not arrested for the release of the information? They're probably digging. Who knows? Hopefully now we'll see Pam Bondi and Kash Patel do something. Making Blackenship, thank you. Super Fast, thank you. Mega Mama, thank you. Joy Kirkland. I had to remind my husband last night that just because I support Trump 100, I may not always agree with what he says, but I always will support him. Very well said. Super Fast, time to build more wall. Indeed. Vielka says Candace changed since she married her handler. I'm not sure who she married, so I'm not going to wade into that, but I'm just going to say there's some things that just ain't cool whatsoever. Let me see here. SV says, don't forget people on Rumble, and I shan't forget the people on Rumble. I do sometimes, and I feel bad about it. Okay, let me see. I've got this window open here. I can go back to it. Let me just make sure I got it correctly. All right, so I got a couple people on Rumble that I need to acknowledge. Looking at Dave H. The thing that makes you go, I have long found that mainstream media rarely talks about what conservative media side of the story. And when MSM actually does, they deceptively edit out what they actually say. They do. And Guitar Man, that voice, the arrogance that pierces through and offends my sensibilities. I just happened to think about that as I was looking at it. Went, yeah, there are people right now who just recognize her voice. Just the sound of her voice is enough. I do want to share one thing with you, and I thought this was not funny, but it says so much. White smoke. We have a new mayor. That says a lot. I was stunned. I went, wow, wow. So sad. So very sad. All right, everybody. President Trump, that went very well. I think he's going to be heading on a plane. Not sure what time he lands, but I know once he gets in, he'll probably have some stuff on the plane as well to talk about. I will talk to you probably at this point, like around. See how fast I can get things done. If I can't do 1, it'll be 1:30. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye.